Welcome back to DAO Talk Weekly. This is your one-stop shop for everything DAOs. I'm Tommy.
And I'm Frisian.
And we are back after a long hiatus, couple-month hiatus post-ETH Denver. We've been putting out some interviews here and there in the meantime, but we've kind of taken the time to recharge. We had a massive launch with Arbitrum on Tally over the past couple weeks. So in that time, we've just been focusing on the product, focusing on Tally. But now we are back. And we are back. We're going to talk a little bit about what we've been up to, what's been happening in the past couple months, and then also what the future of DAO Talk is. This is kind of like the off-season intermission episode between season 1, which ended pre-ETH Denver, and season 2, which will be coming next week. So with a big official launch with all the bells and whistles of everything and where we're going in the future. Frisian, how are you? How have you been? Tell the people what you've been up to in the time since you've been gone, and then we can jump into what's been happening in the DAO Talk world.
I'm good. It's good to be back. ETH Denver was insane. We met a lot of you there, so thanks for coming by to say what's up. And yeah, it's kind of been a blur since then. Like, ETH Denver was just like 7 straight days of just nonstop chaos. And then, got back, boom, Arbitrum DAO is live on Tally. That was also a crazy day. They linked to Tally in the airdrop claim flow because they wanted people to be able to check, the delegate profile that you're choosing from both in the Arbitrum kind of flow on the Arbitrum Foundation website and then also on Tally. And so we received like 100x the amount of traffic that we had ever seen before. So we had a couple hours where we were trying to make sure everything was stable on our side, but we got it all under control. And it's been, huge couple weeks for Tally, as people use Tally to figure out, who they want to delegate to in the Arbitrum DAO, and also look and see who's getting all the delegations. So that was super dope. We haven't had the first, official on-chain proposal go live on Tally yet from Arbitrum, but that's only a matter of time. There's been some initial drama to get started on the governance side in Arbitrum, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But overall, we're incredibly excited to have Arbitrum on Tally. And if you're looking for someone to delegate to, I am running as a delegate, so feel free to check it out. I think I have like 500 or so people delegating to me. So thanks to everyone who delegated to me. And super excited about Arbitrum. Let's go.
Yeah, Frisian's been campaigning hard on the delegate trail. He's now on his way to becoming a delegation whale. He'll be one of those main, governance guys on Twitter. No more shit posting, only serious delegation talks from our favorite internet penguin.
Yeah, no, I have to be serious now in all matters because I'm a delegate. No more talking shit, no more shit posting, just governing. No matter if you try to distract me, I'll be like, I'm governing. I can't do that right now. I can't do that right now. I got to stay focused.
I think, kind of talking about like the DAO ecosystem as a whole, since we've been off, like we haven't been recording necessarily, DAO Talk weeklies, but that doesn't mean that the DAO ecosystem has been slowing down. In fact, I think it's been gearing up a little bit. I feel like every week there's some new, regulational headwind that is, kind of previously may have like set the entire collective brain trust of DAO Twitter back a few months, but I feel like every time something new happens, we've kind of reached the point where like we're just pushing forward, and everyone is, super convicted in what the ecosystem is doing, and that's kind of exciting. Like a lot of what's been happening in the past couple months is just big DAO launches and big DAO proposals, and people understanding delegation more and understanding the ecosystem more, which is kind of something we've talked about since we started this podcast, is like, how do we get more people involved? I don't think we've necessarily reached the end point. I don't think we ever reached the end point, but it's been pretty exciting the past couple of months to see, especially post ETH Denver, like oh, you come off this big high of the event and being in person, like, okay, well, now let's see what happens the next couple of weeks after. And I think everyone's, instead of, we were all tired after, but we've taken that energy of being together and seeing all of the projects, flourish and kind of translated that into the rest of 2023. So I don't know about you. I think you agree. Like, I'm pretty excited about the coming months. And DAO Talk's going to be pretty much the same, but it's going to look a little bit different in only the best ways. Like I said, season 2 will launch next week. We'll have new artwork, a new format. We're going to keep these episodes a little shorter so you can get in and out every Friday, get your DAO news, and then we'll link everything if you want to go deeper. We'll have the DAO Talk newsletter, the Tally newsletter, always have articles on Coming From Content Guild, along with some awesome new clips on Twitter. So there'll be ways for, every type of content you might want to see from your podcast. You'll be able to access that whatever way you want. So you have written clips, long form, YouTube. We're really looking forward to 10xing this community and taking DAO Talk to the next level while we take everything else at Tally to the next level. So excited about that. That'll be coming next week. Again, this week's episode is going to be a little bit shorter, just kind of talking about where we've been, what we're doing. Like we said, Arbitrum launched on Tally. I mean, if you're listening to this, you definitely know what that was like. And then also another one that we announced a little bit, maybe got buried a little bit with the Arbitrum news, but Aave DAO, which it wasn't necessarily a DAO launch, but Aave DAO is now available to govern on Tally. Frisian, thoughts on this other than based?
I really like the promo image you put together for this, maybe a little preview of where we're going visually on the Tally side, if you're watching on YouTube. But if you've been checking out Tally recently, it's just bumping. There's so many proposals. We've had so many DAOs launch. Now, if you go to the Explore DAO page, it's just thick, with 2 C's. There's just all these massive fucking DAOs like Optimism and Arbitrum and Aave and Uniswap, that have, 50K, 100K voters with active proposals. So we're super excited to have Aave on Tally. You might ask why it took so long, because Aave has been around for a long time. They have a funky implementation of Governor that required a bunch of work to integrate. So we applied for a grant from the Aave Grants DAO, which is an awesome crew. Shout out to Aave Grants DAO. And they gave us a grant to implement their version of Governor on Tally. So now Tally is just one of the options as a governance UI for Aave DAO. Aave has their own portal, and I think there's probably some other front ends out there that support them. So if you use Tally and you participate in Aave, give it a look. If you see anything that looks funky, let us know. Give us some feedback. But super excited to have Aave on Tally.
This episode might be a little bit shorter, but we're still gonna jump into the spicy news of the week. We have 2 big updates, and then we'll wrap this thing up and get ready for next week. Obviously, like I said, if you've been watching this, you know that there's been a little bit of controversy, as Frisian mentioned, around the Arbitrum DAO and their first, I wouldn't call it an on-chain, it isn't an on-chain proposal, but their first proposal. Frisian, as a delegate who is very plugged into this entire situation in the Arbitrum ecosystem, kind of give us the 2 to 3 minute overview of what happened, why it matters, and why or what we should be looking for in the future from the fallout of this controversy.
Yeah, so this is the first Arbitrum proposal, AIP1. It went into temperature check phase, which is where the community votes on it on Snapshot as a social signaling before they move it on chain to Tally. And it encountered some pretty significant resistance at that temperature check phase. And that is because Arbitrum made a little bit of an oopsie in their communications, specifically around the airdrop. Even more specifically, they have this huge portion of the airdrop funds that are allocated to the DAO treasury, which is amazing. It was 45% of the airdrop or something, which is $5 billion or some incredibly large amount, is going into the DAO treasury to be managed by the community and distributed over time. But it turns out there's actually a subsection of that DAO treasury that was not going into the on-chain treasury, but rather going to something called the Arbitrum Foundation, which is a group that's separate from Off-Chain Labs, which is the team that like builds the Arbitrum protocol. That's really designed to do like ecosystem development, business development partnerships in more of like a high velocity way than can really be accomplished with the on-chain treasury, right? So if you have like this foundation, they have, a bunch of ARB tokens, they can quickly make deals and partnerships. Whereas if you want to distribute funds from the on-chain treasury, that's going to be a whole governance process, right? And this is like a very common thing that exists, across all like layer 2s and layer 1s and like many protocols. They kind of have this foundation, but they didn't actually clarify like where the foundation's money was going to come from during the airdrop, and they didn't give them like a slice of that airdrop pie chart that's like, this percent of the tokens are going to the foundation. But it turns out it was like something like 7% of the tokens, so like $1 billion almost. And so it sort of came out through this proposal, because I don't think they were trying to hide it. They just did, like, I think it was literally an oopsie basically. And like, so it came out through this proposal that actually was the case, and also that the foundation already had the funds, and also that the foundation had already sold some of the ARB, like a small amount, to pay for like the fees for setting up the foundation. And so the community did not like that at all. And so the proposal was voted down aggressively. And now they're taking steps to like clarify things on the foundation side, and also put some safeguards in place to make sure is sort of like the foundation can't like necessarily spend the funds faster than the community approves of. So they're coming back with a new proposal that hopefully will be more successful for the second time around.
So are you bullish?
Of course I'm bullish. Yeah, no, I'm a big Arbitrum fan. And like as a delegate, and I did vote against the first proposal just because like I think that there's a lot going on in the first proposal, and like the fact that the sort of nature of the foundation was revealed that way wasn't good. And the initial proposal didn't include any safeguards, so like theoretically the foundation could have just like spent all of the funds at once. Not that I think they would have, but like this is supposed to be decentralized governance, right? So we want some like form of guarantees around that. So I voted against the initial proposal, but I am like very optimistic on the second proposal that will come through, and what we'll see there. So yeah, no, I'm super, super bullish. There's always fun learnings along the way with DAO governance, right? No DAO is perfect. It's like, I was talking with Denison about this. A DAO launch is like a wedding, right? Where most people only do it once, and it's like actually really hard to get right. And so, if this is like sort of it's, I think when we look at this in the rear view, right, it'll be just like a learning and a stepping stone along the way.
Yeah, there was a lot of FUD on Twitter around it all, but I think, which is encouraging, especially I think because I'm plugging with you, I see a lot of like all the other delegates speaking on Twitter around it all. And I think this is kind of like a proof of like, I don't even know what I'm saying. It's a good sign that like all of these delegates who are pretty involved in the Arbitrum DAO. I saw a lot of tweets like, I've talked to some of the bigger delegates in Arbitrum, and they were just basically reiterating what you just said. And it kind of just like eased everybody's mind around the entire process for people that maybe weren't as plugged in as we are to the system and to what's happening within Arbitrum. Because they probably wouldn't have spent it because those people, but most people don't. So I think that kind of shows the importance of delegation and trusting the right people with your votes and with your tokens for a DAO. So pretty cool learning experience. When it first happened, it was kind of like a shit show, but we've only, are a couple of days away from it, but it's kind of blown over, in crypto world. 7 days is basically a year in terms of like a news cycle. So craziness. All right. One last thing before we wrap this up. Optimism upgrade proposal for Bedrock went live on Tally and was approved on. Oh, it's approved on Tally and it's pending right now. Frisian, quickly, what is Bedrock for those who are uninitiated?
Yeah, so we're talking roll-up governance today. So this is Optimism's big, huge like technology upgrade that they've been working on, I think, for like a year now. And they passed it via on-chain governance. So the delegates of Optimism sort of voted for they voted for OP Labs, which is the team, that primary team that like builds the Optimism technology stack. They voted to allow OP Labs to implement Bedrock when it's ready. So I think it's like pretty close, but it might be another few weeks or something, or like a month or two until they actually implement Bedrock on the network. But this is the governance process to approve implementing Bedrock. So yeah, check it out, like see all the improvements that's coming to Optimism. But this is very notable because this is like the first big proposal that actually passed in Optimism on-chain governance. So starting to see that kind of thing. Starting to see, on-chain governance across the roll-up landscape proliferate and become a big part of how network upgrades actually happen.
Amazing stuff coming out of Optimism and all the, roll-ups. Roll-ups are kind of popping off right now, which is pretty sweet to see. All right. That wraps up what we call it, our halftime show between season 1 and season 2 of DAO Talk. We have a lot of awesome things coming down the pipeline. As always, subscribe to the DAO Talk newsletter at daotalk.substack.com. That will make its big return next week, along with a bunch of new clips, a bunch of new artwork. We're taking this thing to the next level. Frisian, it's been an honor. I'll see you next week for season 2, baby. Let's get it.
Peace.
Peace.